Summary. Hunter's origins are revealed. Chapter 10 Origins. Survivor lapsed in and out of consciousness. He felt exhausted, but he was scared of closing his eyes and falling asleep. What if he didn't wake back up? If he died, he would come back the next cycle, like clockwork. Still, he really didn't want to put Hunter through the pain of watching him die. He tightened his grip as Hunter started leaping and climbing up poles. He barely slowed down at all, despite the extra weight carrying Survivor, no doubt, brought him. He shuddered as Hunter jumped a wide gap. The makeshift bandage around his torso seemed to have done a very good job at slowing the bleeding, almost to a complete stop. But the tight piece of cloth also worsened the pain from having his wound jostled. Hunter noticed his discomfort, slowed down a bit, and tried to comfort him. "I know it hurts, Survivor. I know." As the ground shook again, he picked up the pace. "There has to be a shelter around here." There was a lot of urgency and stress in his voice. He wanted nothing more than to assure Hunter. He knew the shelter was only a pipe away, but the words quickly died on his tongue as another jolt of pain went through his torso. Once they had passed through the pipe, he could feel Hunter slouch slightly in relief, spotting the gate and the nearby shelter pipe. The ground finally started shaking for longer, as a rumbling could be heard. Without hesitation, Hunter dropped into the pipe. Once inside the shelter, Hunter gently placed Survivor on the floor as the shelter's mechanical door slammed shut behind them. Safe. Finally safe. Survivor thought as he chirped happily, the sound weak and quiet. Survivor glanced at his wound, noticing Hunter also looking it over, probably trying to judge if the bandage would hold or if it would need to be rewrapped. He whimpered at the thought of the bandage having to be applied again and the pain this action would bring. Luckily, Hunter seemed happy with his work, nodding to himself before stepping back and joining Survivor on the floor. He cuddled into Survivor from behind, hugging his arms around him, very gently and carefully avoiding the wound. Survivor purred, closing his eyes and relaxing his body. After a moment, there was a slight shifting behind him, and as he felt a coarse tongue running through the fur on his back, the movements were inexperienced but confident. Survivor let out a happy chirp as he felt the tangles and knots in his fur getting worked through. His coat getting a proper cleaning felt nice. He hadn't had time to groom himself for a few cycles. Eventually, Hunter was satisfied with his work, hugging himself close to Survivor once again, letting out a happy mewl and purring loudly. Survivor sighed in contentment, closing his eyes in preparation for hibernation. Just before he could fully lose consciousness, Hunter took a deep breath. "Hey, Survivor. Are you still awake?" he whispered quietly. Survivor responded by shifting slightly and letting out a chirp, too exhausted and mentally drained to try to formulate words. Hunter sighed, shifting nervously. "It's probably not the best time. But, you wanted to know about the coughing fit, right?" Survivor could feel some of his lost energy returning, willing himself to stave off sleep for just a moment longer. Hunter was probably right that it was a bad time to talk about this now, but he was a secretive slug cat, not talking much about his personal life. If he felt safe enough to talk now, they would talk now. Besides, Survivor wanted to know if his mate was afflicted with anything so he could do his best to help. He cleared his throat and moved his paws to hold on to the red ones embracing him before speaking. "Please, tell me," he croaked, struggling to get the sentence out through his aching throat. Hunter winced at Survivor's pained voice, squeezed his paws, and took a deep breath. "All right then, get comfortable. I'll start from the beginning." He said it, almost seeming a bit nervous. Survivor suppressed a worried whine at the tone of voice Hunter had, instead slowly nodding for him to continue. "Where am I even meant to start?" Hunter hummed as he took a moment to collect his thoughts. "The truth is, I'm not a biologically made slug cat." Survivor made a confused noise. "Great, it's already too confusing. I don't have biological parents. I have a creator, you could say, like looks to the moon. My creator was called No Significant Harassment." Survivor huffed amusingly. "Odd name, I know." Hunter chuckled. "Anyway, NSH created me in a lab." Hunter added, hoping it wasn't all too befuddling so far. "When NSH created me, They wanted me to be stronger and faster than the average slug cat. Thus, they made some changes to my genetic code. He paused, realizing it was hard to tell his story without using hard-to-understand words. It's hard to explain an abomination like yourself. Basically, what makes slug cats different from other creatures. Survivor hummed in understanding, so he continued. I was made to be a messenger, to deliver payloads between NSH and their fellow iterators. He paused for a moment. Iterators are the ones that live in the metallic boxes, like the collapsed one you saw, belonging to Looks to the Moon. He saw Survivor nodding slowly, still seeming to be keeping up. I grew up in NSH's metallic box, his can, as he called it. I didn't experience life as a pup. I was created as a fully grown slug cat and had to be taught a lot. From combat, to socializing, to... He trailed off as he realized he was rambling, moving away from the topic at hand. Hunter swallowed. It's time to come clean. In any case, when NSH made the changes to my genetic structure, they made a mistake. He sighed, slouching slightly. The mistake led to me developing an illness, one I've had since my creation. Survivor whined sadly, squeezing his paw tightly. Hunter absent-mindedly ran a paw through his white coat as he continued. They didn't notice at first, and I had no ill symptoms to speak of. That is, until recently, just before I was sent out to deliver the green neuron to Looks to the Moon. Hunter still remembered that moment, NSH doing a rudimentary scan of his health before sending him off and subsequently panicking when he realized what had happened. Once the illness had been found, it was too late for NSH to do anything, as his medical facilities weren't developed enough to be able to cure it or even slow the progression of the symptoms. NSH was distraught, but the mission had to be a success, so he sent me out to find Looks to the Moon. Survivor pressed his back against him, letting out a wet sob. Hunter sighed. Truth be told, after completing my mission, I'm not sure what I'll do. He felt a great sorrow wash over him, and a couple stray tears fell from his eyes. Delivering the green neuron was what I was made for. It's my one true purpose. When I'm done, when I've completed my mission. Hunter sniffled. It won't take long until the illness overtakes me, and I'll die. That is fine, you will die happy, having accomplished the mission you were made for. Survivor whimpered loudly and painfully shuffled around until he faced Hunter. Weakly, he wrapped his arms around him and licked his nose. We'll find a cure. Survivor's voice was weak and quiet, exhausted from the long day. I don't think there is one. Hunter said sadly, glancing away and looking towards the ceiling. My creator mentioned there was someone besides Looks to the Moon that could help cure me, but I have no idea where to start looking. We'll figure it out. Survivor said, his voice suddenly strong with determination. He hugged Hunter tighter and said, I won't leave your side until we find a cure for your illness, Hunter. Hunter felt tears run down his cheeks again as he stilled with shock. You'd go through so much trouble for me, I'd do it 1,000,000 times over. Survivor purred. Hunter laughed quietly and hugged Survivor closer to himself. Thank you, Survivor. Thank you so much. Survivor purred and hugged back, giving Hunter a lick. The white slug cat suddenly yawned, seeming to finally be succumbing to sleep. Hunter gave him a lick on his forehead and said, Sleep, you need to regain your strength. The white slug cat hummed affirmatively, slowly closing his eyes. I love you, Hunter. He mumbled, closing his eyes completely. Hunter felt his heart backflip, suddenly feeling like his stomach was filled with fluttering bat flies. He mewled happily, nuzzling even closer to his mate. I love you too, Survivor. The two slug cats wrapped their tails together, purring loudly as they fell asleep in each other's arms.